Your discipline builds your future. Welcome to Clartify.
Lazy people don't feel guilty. You do. That's the clue. Because guilt doesn't come from laziness. It comes from pressure. And most people today aren't lazy. They're drowning. Drowning in expectations. Drowning in information. Drowning in decisions. But instead of calling it what it is, we gave it a comfortable name. Lazy. A word simple enough to end the conversation and deep enough to destroy self-respect. Think about it. A lazy person doesn't care. They don't feel tension. They don't lie awake at night thinking about what they should be doing. They don't feel shame. They don't feel frustration. They don't feel the weight of "I'm falling behind." You do. Which means the problem was never laziness. It was overload. But overload is harder to explain. And guilt is easier to assign. So people blame themselves. I just need more discipline. I'm not motivated enough. I waste too much time. Those sentences sound responsible. But they're lies. Because if discipline was the issue, you wouldn't feel exhausted before you even start. And that's what most people experience now. They wake up tired. Not physically, mentally. Before the day even begins, their brain is already busy. Messages, tasks, decisions, expectations. You haven't done anything yet, and you already feel behind. That's not laziness. That's mental overload. Let me tell you about someone. Not an extreme case, not a failure, a normal person, late 20s, stable job, not struggling financially, not depressed. From the outside, everything looks fine, but every morning feels heavy. Not because the work is hard, but because the mind is full. They sit down to focus and feel resistance. They call it laziness. But what they don't see is how many decisions their brain already made that day. What to answer, what to ignore, what to postpone, what matters more. Tiny choices, constantly. The brain doesn't get tired from effort. It gets tired from evaluation. And modern life forces evaluation non-stop. Open your phone. Choose what to watch. Scroll past options. Decide what deserves attention. Every scroll is a decision. Every notification is a demand. You don't notice it, but your brain does. That's why people feel tired doing nothing. And that's why laziness became the wrong diagnosis for the right problem. Because when you're overloaded, starting feels harder than continuing. And instead of asking, "Why does starting feel so heavy?" people say, "I'm lazy." That sentence becomes identity. And identity shapes behavior. Once you believe you're lazy, everything becomes evidence. You hesitate. See? Lazy. You delay? Told you. You rest. I'm wasting time. Self-respect erodes quietly. Not because you failed, but because you misdiagnosed the problem. The brain under overload doesn't resist work. It resists more pressure. And work today isn't just effort. It's interruption. It's context switching. It's constant self-control. That's why motivation doesn't return. Motivation isn't missing. Energy is. And energy leaks everywhere. Every open loop drains it. Every unfinished task stays active. Every "I'll do it later" remains unresolved. Your brain never closes the tabs. So when you finally sit down to do something meaningful, there's nothing left. And you think something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong with you. Your system is overloaded. This is why rest often doesn't work. You sleep. You take breaks. You relax. But you don't remove anything. So the overload stays. Rest pauses effort. It doesn't remove pressure. That's why weekends don't reset people anymore. They stop working, but their brain keeps processing. They scroll. They consume. They compare. And by Sunday night, the same weight returns. Then Monday confirms the lie. I'm lazy. No, you're carrying too much. Mental overload doesn't announce itself loudly. There's no collapse, no breakdown, just quiet resistance. You want to do something meaningful and feel blocked. Not because you don't care, but because caring costs energy you don't have. That's why guilt is so common today. Guilt means you still care. And caring while being overloaded creates internal conflict. That conflict feels like laziness. But it's not. It's friction. And friction kills momentum. This is why discipline advice fails. Just push through. Be consistent. Try harder. They assume the system is empty. It's not. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer inputs. The brain performs best when it's protected, when options are limited, when decisions are reduced, when noise is controlled. That's why some people look disciplined effortlessly. Not because they're stronger, because their environment doesn't attack them all day. They don't decide constantly. They don't fight distractions. They removed access. Meanwhile, most people live in open systems. Notifications always on. Choices everywhere. Expectations unclear. And then they blame themselves for not functioning well. Imagine telling a computer to run 20 programs at once and calling it lazy when it slows down. That's what we do to ourselves. Overload creates paralysis. And paralysis looks like laziness. But it's not a character flaw. It's a design problem. And design problems are fixed by subtraction, not addition. You don't fix overload by adding habits. You fix it by removing pressure. Remove noise. Remove unnecessary decisions. Remove access to constant input. That's why clarity feels relieving. Not because life became easy, but because the brain finally has space. Space to focus. Space to choose deliberately. Space to recover. And when space returns, something changes. Starting doesn't feel heavy anymore. Not exciting. Just normal. That's how you know the problem was never laziness. It was load. Most people never realize this. They keep fighting themselves. They keep feeling guilty. They keep believing the wrong story. And that story slowly destroys confidence. But once you see it, you stop attacking yourself. And you start protecting your energy. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what am I carrying that I don't need? That question is dangerous. Because it leads to responsibility. And responsibility requires removal. Not dramatic change, quiet change. One boundary, one closed loop. One decision removed. And slowly the brain stops resisting. Not because you became disciplined, but because you became lighter. You were never lazy. You were overloaded. And overload is fixable, not with motivation, with clarity. If this video gave language to something you felt for years, press like. If you're ready to stop blaming yourself, subscribe and comment, I remove what overloads me. Lazy people.
Thank you for watching. If you're ready to upgrade your mind and build unshakable discipline, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. More powerful lessons are coming. Stay disciplined. Stay clarify.